Senator Tammy Duckworth, you have fired off tweets and made comments today that I'm going to print on my wall and show my little boy what a badass woman sounds like. Tell me about your reaction today to this reporting.
Well, I wish I could say I was surprised, but I'm not surprised. You know, when I went through basic training in the Army, they taught us our Army values. And then those are loyalty, duty, respect, selfless service, integrity, and personal courage. Has anybody ever seen Donald Trump exhibit any of those values at all? No, in any situation, whether it has to do with the military or not. And so I'm not surprised that he would say these things, but it is absolutely unacceptable in the commander-in-chief of the United States to say such thing about the heroes who've served in uniform.
Senator Duckworth, one of the things that people find most disturbing is that no one has come out and said, I mean, they're denying the story, but it's more of an attack on the media. No one has come out and said that Donald Trump doesn't possess these feelings, this lack of understanding of why anybody would sacrifice for their country. What do you have to say to military families who are re-traumatized by that, who are living with the pain of losing a son, losing a daughter, losing a mom, losing a dad, losing a brother or a sister, to hear the country's sitting commander-in-chief disparage their service?
Well, what I tell them is they have a choice come November 3rd, and they need to go out and vote. They have safeguarded the Constitution and safeguarded liberty and our values and our national security for all of us. I asked them to please go out and vote this coming November 3rd, and vote for someone that they know will actually defend them. Vote for a military family, the Bidens, who know and understand exactly what they're going through because they themselves have gone through it themselves. They have watched a loved one be deployed and wondered day after day whether or not he's going to make it home, wondered whether that missed phone call means that he actually was hurt or not. They know what military families go through because they're a military family themselves. And I would ask them to make your voice heard at the ballot box. That said, I will tell you also that they have advocates in me, in other senators, and other congresspersons who truly do recognize and value and honor their sacrifices for this nation. And we will not stand by and let this president trample on all of the things that they stand up for.
Yeah, something I think about a lot is the war on the Justice Department and the intelligence community had some public-facing elements. Mostly Donald Trump was attacking Rod Rosenstein and Jim Comey, and he likened the intelligence community to Nazis, I think, during the transition before he was even inaugurated. I wonder if you think that the damage that he does, there's some reporting in Phil Rucker and Carol Lenig's book about him going over to the Pentagon for a briefing in the tank. It was designed to be an education of Donald Trump. He ended up calling them all babies, losers. Do you think that there is this sort of vast aspect of what we don't know that he has tried to, ways that he's tried to use the military? We saw General Milley in Lafayette Square. We hear Donald Trump refer to them as my generals. I mean, what are your worries about what he's done to the military during his presidency that we don't know about?
Well, he's gutted the military. I mean, he has driven down morale. That's why there was that poll earlier this week that shows that for the first time, a majority of the military members of the military will not be voting for Donald Trump. But we're going to have a lot of hard work in front of us to rebuild the confidence within our military. And he's also used them for political gain and politicized the military. This is something that no president has ever done, and it's not supposed to be done. The military is one of the last remaining institutions in this country that the American people respect because they are not political. And for him to use them in a political way just shows what a failure he is as a commander-in-chief. He just wants to use them to stroke his own ego, and that's not what this military is for. Our military has sworn that they will defend to their death this nation and our security for people who may never know their names. We have to honor that, and we must lift that up above everything else. And then we need to be there to support them at the VA. We need to be there to make sure that when they suffer the wounds of combat, that those wounds are cared for. You know, this is the same president who said that those military men and women who suffered brain injuries after the bombing happened last year, that, those are just headaches, those were not real injuries. It's shameful that we have a commander-in-chief who would say such a thing.
Do you think that the fact that he doesn't understand why we go look for men and women injured in action or missing in action is a waste of time? Does that endanger the military?
It very much endangers the military. It endangers the cohesion within the military, but it also, if you cared about nothing else, if you cared nothing about all of the values and for me in the Army, the soldier's ethos, the warrior ethos, which is one of the things you say is, I will never leave a fallen comrade behind. It's bad for readiness, right? When somebody goes into combat, they need to know that their buddies to their left and to their right will not leave them behind, no matter what. We will get you out of there, even if it is just bringing your body home. In fact, when I was wounded, my crew thought that I was dead, right? I never even got a tourniquet, so they thought I was dead, but they risked their lives to retrieve my body. And they carried my body through that field in Iraq, covered themselves in my blood and my flesh, and got me to that rescue aircraft. And only then did they discover that I was still alive. It was because these men and women stand up for the values that they fight for, that they've sworn to defend, that we have a fighting force that is the greatest military on the face of the earth. If you break down those values, if you start leaving people behind, then people will think twice about signing up for service. People will think twice about letting their children sign up. People will think twice about taking on that mission because they won't know whether or not they will get left behind. The American military leaves no one behind. That is a core tenet of what we are, and it's also why we're the most powerful military on the face of the earth. And with this coward-in-chief that we have in the White House right now, doesn't deserve to be the commander-in-chief of this great military.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.